On today's broadcast, Seoul urges Pyongyang to follow through with family reunions this week after postponing the planned meetings. The main opposition Democratic Party says it will engage in parliamentary activities following a nearly 2-month-long protest, and South Korea inks a deal to build healthcare information systems in Saudi Arabia. This is KBS World Radio News. I'm Bruce Harrison. The main opposition Democratic Party has decided to participate in a regular parliamentary session after a 53-day protest outside Parliament against the ruling party and government. Democratic Party Chairman Kim Han-gil announced on Monday his plan to continue the protest inside the National Assembly. He ordered his party to begin negotiations with the ruling camp on the schedule of the regular parliamentary session, which has been stalled since it opened on September 2nd. The main opposition party will set up an emergency headquarters inside Parliament for the protest, which will be headed by its floor leader. The party will also thoroughly prepare for parliamentary inspections of ministries and government agencies. The Democratic Party will continue its protest outside of Parliament by leading the creation of an organization that calls for the reform of the National Intelligence Service. The Saenuri Party welcomed the main opposition party's decision, but the ruling party remains wary the Democratic Party may focus on a political offensive against it rather than reviewing and passing bills and government budget proposals. Saenuri Deputy Floor Leader Yoon Song-hyun positively evaluated the Democratic Party's decision, which he said suggests its readiness to listen to the people and fulfill its responsibility as the main opposition party. South Korea's Unification Ministry says the two Koreas can discuss video reunions and more face-to-face reunions between separated families only after family reunions are held Wednesday, as previously agreed upon. Ministry spokesman Kim Wi-do made the remarks in a regular news briefing Monday, calling on North Korea to withdraw its unilateral decision to delay the scheduled family reunions. In working-level Red Cross talks on August 23rd, South and North Korea had agreed to hold reunions of divided families on September 25th, video reunions late next month, and another round of face-to-face reunions in November. Regarding proposed inter-Korean talks on the resumption of tours to North Korea's Mount Kumgang, the spokesman said Seoul is monitoring the situation following Pyongyang's decision to postpone this month's family reunions. He added the South has no plan to again propose talks on Mount Kumgang tours. South Korea previously suggested the two Koreas hold talks on Mount Kumgang on October 2nd. Meanwhile, North Korea is blaming South Korea for Pyongyang's decision to abruptly delay the family reunions and talks on tours to Mount Kumgang. The North's Committee for the Peaceful Reunification of the Fatherland accused South Korea on Sunday of instigating inter-Korean confrontation, following Seoul's statement just a day earlier calling the delay an act against humanity. North Korea also claimed the South is trying to evade responsibility and prevent cross-border ties from improving. South and North Korea will hold working-level talks on Tuesday to discuss a permanent secretariat for a joint committee that will operate the Kaesong Industrial Complex. Unification Ministry spokesman Kim Wi-do told a regular news briefing on Monday the two Koreas will also hold talks this week on communications, access, and rights of South Korean workers at the Inter-Korean Industrial Park just north of the border in North Korea. Kim said the two sides had a regular telephone contact on Monday, but Pyongyang did not make any specific comments on the family reunions, which it postponed last week.
You're now listening to the news from KBS World Radio's News Center in Seoul, Korea.
Domestic think tank The Liberty Society says South Korea's economic freedom ranking fell 3 steps to 33rd in the world. The think tank said the nation's money soundness is outstanding, but its market and labor regulations remained at the bottom of the list. Our Kim In-kyung has more.
South Korea's economic freedom scored 7.5 out of 10 in 2011, ranking 33rd among 152 countries. The Liberty Society co-published the results in a booklet entitled Economic Freedom of the World 2013. The research was jointly undertaken by 88 free market think tanks around the world, including Canada's Fraser Institute and the Cato Institute of the United States. The booklet contained the economic freedom rankings of 152 countries, broken down in 5-year terms between 1980 and 2010, and included the most recent 2011 rankings. South Korea's economic freedom score inched up from 7.48 in 2010 to 7.5 in 2011, but its global ranking fell from 30th to 33rd place as other countries overtook Korea. South Korea's ranking in government size and money soundness fell from the previous year, but its property rights and business regulation rankings rose. South Korea's money soundness ranked 26th among the countries surveyed, but its government size, property rights, freedom to trade internationally, business and labor market regulations all ranked worse than 33rd. In particular, Korea's labor market flexibility remained near the bottom. Hong Kong ranked number 1 with a score of 8.97, followed by Singapore, New Zealand, Switzerland, and United Arab Emirates. Japan also ranked 33rd with a score of 7.5, while China ranked 123rd with a score of 6.22. South Korea ranked similarly at 34th in the 2013 Index of Economic Freedom published by the Heritage Foundation in partnership with the Wall Street Journal. The index generally reflects data from the second half of 2011 through the first half of 2012. Kim In-kyung, KBS World Radio News.
Cumulative foreign investment in South Korean stocks this year has shifted to a net buying position for the first time since mid-March. Bloomberg News says the shift happened as of last Monday, and the cumulative net purchase volume reached over $716 million on Tuesday. Foreigners in the domestic bourse have consistently been net sellers amid the weak yen and prospects of the U.S. tapering of quantitative easing. But since July, strong buying has continued in the Korean stock market as the country's firm economic fundamentals set it apart from other emerging markets. South Korea will export medical and IT systems to Saudi Arabia. The Ministry of Health and Welfare said Minister Chin Young and his Saudi Arabian counterpart, Abdullah Al-Rabi'a, signed an agreement on bilateral cooperation in the health and medical sectors and development of joint training programs. Under the deal, South Korean companies will win Saudi Arabian orders to build computer systems for blood management, treatment information exchanges, and remote medical diagnosis. Saudi Arabian medical experts will visit and participate in training programs in South Korea from March next year. The Korea Institute for Industrial Economics and Trade predicts the deal will generate economic effects worth 1,760 billion won and create some 10,000 jobs over the next 10 years.
You're now listening to the news from KBS World Radio's News Center in Seoul, Korea.
The government says former President Chun Doo-hwan handed over medals he awarded himself while in office in April. The Ministry of Security and Public Administration said Monday that Chun returned 9 medals that were already canceled in 2006 under the revised Awards and Decorations Act. It said the medals are no longer valuable or significant since they were nullified, but it will keep them at the National Archives. The ministry also said former President Roh Tae-woo is not returning 11 medals, which were also self-awarded and canceled. South Korea has been elected a member of the United Nations Board on Sustainable Consumption and Production. The Korea Environmental Industry and Technology Institute said on Monday its president, Yoon Sung-joon, was selected a director of the board, which was launched last Monday at the 67th UN General Assembly. The UN board is comprised of 10 countries, 2 from each continent. South Korea and Indonesia have been named to represent Asia. The board will help the UN member countries establish by 2015 a 10-year national plan for sustainable consumption and production. The board's inaugural meeting is set for October 1st in New York for 2 days. South Korea's National Postal Service says it will introduce a 5-digit zip code in July 2015. Korea Post said Monday the 45-year-old 6-digit postal code will be replaced as part of the government's plans to streamline its administrative system from January next year. The Ministry of Public Administration and Security introduced the system in order to unify the zoning system and enhance the nation's administrative competitiveness. South Korean shares have closed higher on the back of the U.S. decision to maintain its quantitative easing. The benchmark Korea Composite Stock Price Index KOSPI on Monday rose 3.83 points, or 0.19%, to close at 2,009.41. The index fell under the 2,000 mark at one point during the session, but rebounded as foreigners net bought 300 billion won worth of Korean shares. The tech-heavy Kosdaq inched down 0.04 points, or 0.01%, closing at 527.07. On the Seoul foreign exchange market, the local currency surged 10.3 won against the U.S. dollar to close at 1,073.8 won. The won-dollar rate fell under 1,080 won for the first time since February 20th.